The big old house was quiet. It was an old house, full of memories. Today, the family was gathered inside. The reason was the reading of the will. Everyone waited, sitting on old chairs in the living room. The air felt heavy and quiet. No one knew what was coming next. In the middle of the room sat a woman named Sarah. She was calm, but her eyes told a different story. She looked tired and sad. She did not speak much. Around her, other family members talked quietly. Some looked nervous. Some looked angry. Some looked hopeful. Sarah's father had died a week ago. He was a kind man, but also a secretive man. Now everyone wanted to know what he had left behind. Who would get his money and things? Would there be any surprises? These questions made the room feel tense. The lawyer arrived. He was a tall man with glasses. He carried a thick envelope. He wore a serious face. Everyone stopped talking and looked at him. The lawyer sat down at the big wooden table in front of them. He said, "Thank you all for coming. Today, I will read the last will of Mr. Robert. Please listen carefully." Everyone was quiet again. Sarah looked at the lawyer with hope and fear. She wanted to know everything, but was also afraid of what she might hear. The lawyer opened the envelope slowly. He took out a piece of paper and began to read. "To my family, I leave all my belongings and money. But there are conditions." Sarah's heart beat fast. She listened closely. The lawyer continued, "My house will go to my daughter Sarah." Sarah's eyes opened wide. She felt surprised. She was happy, but also nervous. The house meant many memories to her. It was a big responsibility. The lawyer then said, "My car will go to my son, Michael." Michael smiled. He was a young man, about 25 years old. He looked proud, but also quiet. He nodded at his sister. Then the lawyer read more. "My savings will be divided between my 2 children equally." Everyone looked calm now. The lawyer paused for a moment and looked at the paper again. Suddenly, the lawyer's voice changed. He said, "But there is something more, something that you may not expect." Everyone stopped breathing for a moment. They looked at the lawyer. What could it be? The room felt colder, and the silence grew. The lawyer cleared his throat and said, "There is a secret I must tell you all. Mr. Robert left a special message in this will. A message for all of you." Sarah's hands trembled. Her eyes filled with tears. She looked at her brother. Michael's face was serious now. The lawyer smiled a little and said, "Before I tell you the secret, I want you all to remember one thing. Family is not just about money and things. It is about love, trust, and truth." Sarah nodded slowly. She wished her father was still there to say these words in person. The lawyer then took a deep breath and said, "Mr. Robert wanted to say one last thing. There is a person in this will who is very important. This person is a part of the family, but you may not know them yet." The family looked shocked. Who could this person be? They looked at each other, confused. Sarah's heart beat faster. She felt a strange feeling inside her. She wanted to ask the lawyer to tell more, but she stayed quiet. The lawyer took out another letter from the envelope. "This letter is from Mr. Robert. He wrote it himself." He opened the letter slowly and began to read. "To my children, Sarah and Michael, there is a secret I kept for many years. It is about someone I loved very much. You will understand everything when you read this letter carefully." Sarah closed her eyes. She remembered her father's stories, but none of them mentioned this secret. The lawyer stopped reading and looked at the family. "I will read the full letter soon, but first I want you all to think about what family really means." The room stayed silent. Sarah looked out of the window. The sun was setting and the sky was orange. It felt like a new story was about to start. The lawyer said, "We will continue the reading tomorrow. Please think about what you have heard today." Everyone slowly stood up. Sarah felt tired but curious. She wanted to know the secret, but she was also afraid of the truth. As the family left the old house, the lawyer stayed behind, looking at the papers. He knew this story was more than just a will. It was a story that would change their lives forever. Sarah walked slowly, thinking about her father. She whispered, "What did you hide from us, Dad?" The night was coming, and the secret waited for the next day to be revealed. The next day, the family gathered again in the same old living room. The sun was brighter now, but the tension in the room was even stronger. Everyone sat quietly, waiting for the lawyer to continue. Sarah sat in her usual place. Her heart was pounding. She wanted to hear the secret that her father had hidden for so many years. But she was also scared. What if the secret was too big to handle? The lawyer stood up, holding the letter carefully. "Today, I will read the full letter from Mr. Robert," he said. "Please listen with an open mind." The room grew very quiet. Even the clock ticking on the wall seemed louder. The lawyer began to read. "To my children, Sarah and Michael, there is something important I never told you. A secret that has stayed with me for many years. I was not always honest about my past. There is someone who is part of this family, but you have never met them." Sarah's eyes grew wide. Michael leaned forward. The other family members looked, confused and curious. The lawyer continued, "This person is someone I love deeply, but life took a different path. I ask you to welcome them with open hearts. They are part of our story, and they deserve their place in the family." The lawyer paused. The room was full of silence. No one spoke. Everyone was thinking. Who was this person? Why had their father never told them before? Suddenly, a woman in the corner whispered, "Could it be?" "No one knows," Michael said softly, shaking his head. Sarah felt tears in her eyes. She wanted to ask the lawyer to say more, but the lawyer only said, "There is more to this letter." He opened another page and read on. "I have left a gift for this person in my will. It is not money or things. It is something much more important. A chance to be part of the family, to heal old wounds, and to start again." Sarah looked at her brother. He looked as surprised and confused as she felt. The lawyer closed the letter and said, "This was not easy for Mr. Robert to write. He wanted you to know the truth. The full will also includes this special person." At that moment, the lawyer took out another envelope from his briefcase. It was old and worn. "This envelope contains the name of the person Mr. Robert spoke about. Shall I read it now?" the lawyer asked. Everyone nodded slowly. The lawyer opened the envelope and pulled out a small piece of paper. He cleared his throat and read the name aloud. The room froze. The name was someone no one recognized, a stranger to the family. But the shock was not just the name, it was what came next. The lawyer said, "This person will receive a part of Mr. Robert's estate, a part equal to Sarah and Michael." Gasps filled the room. Some people whispered angrily. Others looked shocked and confused. Sarah's hands trembled. She did not know what to think. Why did her father keep this secret? And why was this stranger treated like family? Her mother looked upset. She whispered, "Who is this person? How can this be?" The lawyer raised his hand, asking for calm. "I know this is difficult, but the letter explains everything." He then said, "Before I read more, I want to remind you all that sometimes family is more than just blood. It is about love, forgiveness, and truth." Sarah looked down. She thought about all the times her father had smiled but never told her everything. She wished she could talk to him one more time. The lawyer read the final part of the letter. "I ask you all to open your hearts. This secret may be hard to accept, but it is part of our family's story. Please forgive me for hiding the truth for so long." I love you all. The room was silent again. Everyone was thinking deeply. The lawyer put the letter down and said, "That is all for today. We will meet again soon." Sarah stood up slowly. Her mind was full of questions. Who was this person? Why did her father love them so much? As the family left the house, whispers followed them. Some said the secret would break the family. Others hoped it would bring them closer. Sarah walked outside. The wind was cold, but she felt a strange warmth inside her heart. Maybe this secret was not only a surprise, but a chance for something new. She looked at the sky and whispered, "I want to know the truth, no matter what." The secret was out now, and everyone was waiting for the next part of the story to unfold. The day after the second reading, the family gathered once again in the same old living room. The walls seemed to hold their breath, waiting for what would happen next. The sun shone through the windows, but inside, the air was heavy with tension. Sarah sat quietly, staring at the floor. Her mind was full of questions she could not answer. The secret person her father mentioned haunted her thoughts. Who was this stranger? Why had her father kept them hidden all these years? Michael sat beside her, his face serious and tense. He whispered, "Sarah, what if this changes everything?" She shook her head but said nothing. No one was ready to face the truth yet. The lawyer entered with a small envelope. He smiled politely, but there was sadness in his eyes. "Today, I will read the name of the person Mr. Robert wanted to include in his will," he said. Everyone leaned forward. The room grew very quiet, almost too quiet. No one wanted to miss a single word. The lawyer opened the envelope slowly. Inside was a piece of paper with a name written on it. He cleared his throat and read aloud, "Emily Johnson." The room fell, silent. No one spoke. Some faces showed confusion, others surprise. Sarah's heart raced. The name meant nothing to her. No one in the family knew an Emily Johnson. Her mother frowned and whispered, "Who is she? Why didn't your father ever mention her?" Michael looked confused, too. "Maybe a friend? A distant relative?" The lawyer held up a hand. "There is more to the story. Emily Johnson is not just a stranger. She is part of this family's past." Sarah's eyes widened. How could someone so important be a stranger to them? The lawyer continued, "Mr. Robert left a letter explaining his connection with Emily. He asked me to give this letter to you when the time was right." He handed Sarah a folded letter. Her hands trembled as she took it. Everyone looked at her, waiting. Sarah slowly opened the letter. Her eyes moved across the paper as she read the words written by her father's own hand. "Dear Sarah and Michael," the letter began, "there is a part of my life I never shared with you. A secret I kept to protect you. But I now believe it is time to tell the truth. Emily Johnson was someone very special to me. She was my first love before I met your mother." Sarah's breath caught in her throat. She looked up, but no one said a word. The letter continued. "We lost touch many years ago, but I never forgot her. She had a daughter, and that daughter is part of our family. Emily's daughter is your half-sister. I want you to know her and welcome her." Shock spread through the room like a cold wave. Sarah felt her knees grow weak. A half-sister? This was more than she had imagined. Michael broke the silence. "Why didn't Dad tell us before? Why keep it secret all these years?" Sarah shook her head. "I don't know. But it feels like everything we knew about our family has changed." The lawyer spoke gently. "Mr. Robert wanted to protect you from pain, but he also wanted you to have the chance to heal and grow. Meeting Emily's daughter will be hard, but it is important." Sarah folded the letter carefully and looked at her brother. "We need to find her, Michael. We have to know her. Michael nodded slowly. Yes, it's time to learn the whole truth. The other family members whispered among themselves. Some felt betrayed, others curious. Sarah's mother looked sad. Your father made choices we never understood, she said quietly. Sarah felt tears in her eyes. She wished her father was still alive to explain everything in person. The lawyer packed up his papers and said, "Tomorrow, I will bring more documents. There are papers that will help you find Emily's daughter." Sarah stood and looked around the room. The family was no longer the same. The secret had changed them all. As she walked outside, the wind was cool on her face. She felt a mixture of fear and hope. The past was coming to light, but the future was still unknown. She whispered to herself, "I want to meet her. I want to know my sister." The story was far from over. The next days would bring answers, and maybe new questions too. The news had spread like wildfire in the house. Emily Johnson was not just a stranger, she was Sarah and Michael's half-sister. The secret had shattered the calm surface of their family. Now, the real challenge was how each person would react. Sarah sat quietly in the corner of the room, her hands folded tightly in her lap. She felt a storm of emotions inside her, confusion, anger, sadness, and hope, all mixed together. She wanted answers, but more than that, she wanted her family to stay together. Michael paced back and forth, his face tense. "Why didn't Dad tell us? Why keep this from us for so long?" he asked loudly. Their mother sat on the sofa, her eyes red from crying. "He wanted to protect you," she whispered softly. "But maybe he made a mistake." Some relatives whispered behind their hands, sharing their own thoughts and doubts. Some felt betrayed, thinking that Mr. Robert had hidden a big lie. Others were more understanding, saying that everyone has secrets. One older uncle spoke up, his voice strong but kind. "We all have our pasts. It's time to accept this and move forward." But not everyone agreed. A cousin shook his head. "How can we trust this now? If he lied about this, what else did he hide?" The room was filled with tension. The family that once felt united now felt divided. Sarah's eyes stayed fixed on the floor. She wanted to speak but didn't know what to say. Finally, she took a deep breath and stood up. "Stop," she said softly but firmly. "We have to be better than this. This secret hurt us, yes, but we still have each other." Everyone turned to look at her. Sarah's voice grew stronger. "Dad wanted us to know the truth. He wanted us to welcome Emily's daughter, our sister." Michael stopped pacing and looked at Sarah. "She's right. We can't let this secret break us." Sarah's mother wiped her tears and nodded. "Maybe it's time to heal." Slowly, the room grew calmer. People sat down and started to talk quietly. They shared memories of Mr. Robert and tried to understand why he had kept this secret. Sarah felt a small hope growing inside her. Maybe this secret could bring the family closer, not tear it apart. But the question still stayed in everyone's mind. Who was Emily's daughter? What was her story? The lawyer returned with papers that might help them find her. "These documents show where she lives now," he said. Sarah took the papers carefully. Her hands were shaking, but her heart was steady. "We have to meet her, soon," she said. Michael nodded. "We need to know everything." That night, Sarah lay in bed, thinking about the day. The secret was out, but the real journey was just beginning. She closed her eyes and whispered, "I hope she is ready to meet us." Outside, the wind blew softly, carrying away the old secrets, but also bringing new hope. The days after the will reading were restless for Sarah and Michael. The secret of their half-sister, Emily's daughter, filled their minds every moment. They could not stop thinking about who she was and what her life was like. The family was waiting, but Sarah and Michael felt the need to act. One morning, Sarah sat at the kitchen table, staring at the papers the lawyer had given them. The documents had an address and some old photographs. It was all they had. A place to start. Michael stood nearby, his hands in his pockets. "We should go and find her," he said quietly. "We need to know the truth." Sarah nodded, her eyes full of determination. "Yes, we can't wait anymore." Their mother looked worried but understood. "Be careful," she said softly. "This might be hard for everyone." Sarah and Michael packed a small bag with some clothes and left the house. The car ride was quiet, filled with nervous thoughts. Neither of them spoke much, but their hearts were full of hope and fear. When they reached the address, they found a small, simple house in a quiet neighborhood. The garden was neat, but the paint on the walls was old and peeling. It was not the rich, big house they were used to. It was different. Sarah's heart beat fast as they walked to the door. She knocked gently. A young woman opened the door. She looked surprised to see strangers, but did not look scared. Her eyes were kind but tired. Sarah took a deep breath and said, "Hello, my name is Sarah. I think we are family." The woman looked confused. "Family? I don't understand." Michael stepped forward and said, "We believe you are our sister. Our father, Robert, wrote about you in his will." The woman's eyes filled with tears. She stepped aside and invited them in. "Please, come," she said softly. Inside, the house was small but clean. The woman sat down and looked at them carefully. "My name is Anna," she said. "I've heard about my father before, but I never knew much." Sarah and Michael listened as Anna told her story. She was quiet and shy, but honest. She said she grew up without knowing her father well. Her mother never spoke about him much. Sarah felt a pain in her heart. This was their sister, a part of their family they never knew. Anna looked at them with hope. "I don't know what to say," she said, "but I want to know you." Michael smiled softly. "We want that too." The three of them talked for hours. They shared stories, laughed a little, and cried a little. It was the beginning of a new family bond. But outside, the world was still waiting. The family back home was anxious. Would Anna accept them? Would this secret bring them closer or tear them apart? Sarah knew the journey was just starting. There were many questions, many feelings, but one thing was clear. The family was no longer the same. As they left Anna's house that evening, Sarah whispered, "We found her. Now we have to keep her." Michael nodded. Together, we are stronger. The secret had come out of the shadows. The family's future was full of unknowns, but also full of hope. Days passed slowly after the shocking revelation of Emily Johnson and her daughter. Sarah and Michael could hardly focus on anything else. The secret weighed heavily on their minds, and they knew they could not wait any longer. One morning, Sarah sat at the kitchen table holding the papers the lawyer had given them. The documents had an address, some old photographs, and a few notes. It was the only clue they had. Their father had left them just enough to find this mysterious sister. Michael stood by the window, looking outside. "We have to find her, Sarah. We can't live with so many questions." His voice was steady but full of emotion. Sarah nodded, swallowing her nervousness. "Yes. We need to meet her, to know who she is. This family secret can't stay hidden anymore." Their mother overheard them and placed a gentle hand on Sarah's shoulder. "Be careful, both of you. This might be harder than you think." Sarah and Michael packed their bags quietly. The car ride was filled with silence, broken only by the occasional sigh or nervous glance. Both wondered what kind of person this sister could be. Would she want to meet them? Would she be angry or happy? When they arrived at the address, they found a small, worn-down house on a quiet street. The garden was simple, with a few flowers struggling to bloom. It was a humble home, far from the life Sarah and Michael had known. Sarah's heart beat faster as they approached the door. She knocked softly, waiting. After a moment, the door opened. A young woman stood there, surprised to see strangers. Her eyes were gentle but wary. "Hello?" Sarah said softly. "My name is Sarah. We believe we are family." The woman blinked, confused. "Family? I don't understand." Michael stepped forward. "We think you might be our sister. Our father, Robert, wrote about you in his will." The woman's eyes filled with tears. She stepped back and said quietly, "Please come in." Inside, the house was small but tidy. The woman introduced herself as Anna. She shared her story in a quiet voice. She had grown up without knowing her father well. Her mother rarely spoke about him. She always wondered about the man she had never met. Sarah listened closely, feeling a deep sadness and connection. This was their sister, a missing piece of their family. Anna looked at them with a mix of hope and fear. "I don't know what to say. This is all so new to me." Michael smiled gently. "We don't know much either, but we want to know you." For hours they talked. They shared stories about their childhoods, their dreams, and their fears. Tears came, but so did smiles. It was the start of something new, a fragile but real bond. Back at home, the family waited anxiously. Would Anna accept them? Would this secret tear the family apart or bring them closer? Sarah knew the road ahead would be difficult. There were many questions left unanswered, many feelings to face. But one thing was clear. Their family was no longer the same. As they left Anna's house that evening, Sarah whispered, "We found her. Now we have to build a family." Michael nodded. "Together we can face anything." The secret had been revealed. The future was uncertain, but also full of hope and new beginnings. The drive back from Anna's house was quiet, but Sarah and Michael's hearts were full. They had finally met their sister, the missing piece of their family puzzle. And even though Anna had been surprised, she had welcomed them with open arms. That gave them hope. "She's kind," Sarah said softly, staring out the window as the trees passed by. Michael nodded. "She's strong, too. Growing up without a father. I can't imagine what that's like." "She didn't even ask for anything," Sarah added. "She just wanted to know the truth." They reached home late in the evening. The sun was setting, painting the sky with orange and pink, but the warm colors outside didn't match the mood. Waiting inside. As soon as Sarah and Michael walked into the house, they saw their mother standing in the hallway. Her face was tense. Behind her, other family members sat in the living room, waiting. It was clear. Everyone wanted answers. "Well?" their mother asked, her voice low but firm. "Did you meet her?" Sarah nodded slowly. "Yes, her name is Anna. She's kind, and she had no idea about any of this." Michael stepped in. "She didn't grow up rich. Her life wasn't easy. But she didn't ask for money or gifts. She just wants to understand why our father never came back." A murmur filled the room. One uncle stood up. "And now what? Are we just going to accept her? Let her walk in like she belongs?" Sarah looked at him, her eyes calm but full of emotion. "She does belong. She's our sister." "But what about the will?" a cousin said. "If she's part of the family, that means she gets something too. Maybe a share of the house. Maybe part of the business." "That's not what this is about," Michael said firmly. "This is about doing what's right." Their mother sat down slowly, her hands folded tightly. "It's just so hard to accept," she said. "Your father never told me. He kept this secret all his life." Sarah walked over and sat beside her. Maybe he was scared. Maybe he thought he was protecting us. But now we know. We can't change the past, but we can decide what kind of future we want. Silence fell over the room. Some people looked angry, some confused, and others thoughtful. "She's coming to visit us," Sarah said finally. "We invited her here." The announcement hit the room like thunder. One aunt gasped. Another cousin stood up and said, "No, that's too much. This is our home. She doesn't belong here." Michael's face darkened. "She has every right to meet her family. If you don't want to see her, don't. But Sarah and I will welcome her." Later that night, Sarah sat alone, in her father's old study. She looked around at the books, the photos, the old armchair he used to sit in. It was quiet, but her thoughts were loud. She pulled out the letter again, the one her father had written. She read the words slowly, letting them sink into her heart. "I hope one day you will understand. I made mistakes, but I always loved my family, all of my children." Tears rolled down her cheeks. She whispered, "I understand now, Dad. I do." The next morning, Sarah received a message from Anna. It said only one sentence. "Are you sure they want to meet me?" Sarah replied right away. "Yes. No matter what anyone says, you are my sister, and you're not alone anymore." The day had finally come. Anna was coming to visit the family. The house was quiet but heavy with tension. Some family members stayed, away, saying they weren't ready. Others waited in silence, unsure of what to say or how to feel. Sarah stood near the living room window, looking down the street again and again. Her hands were cold, even though the sun was bright. Michael sat on the sofa, pretending to read a magazine, but his eyes were blank. Everyone in the house was holding their breath. At exactly 3 p.m., a small blue car stopped outside the house. "She's here," Sarah whispered. She walked to the door slowly and opened it. There, standing on the front steps, was Anna. She wore a simple blue dress and her hands trembled slightly. She looked nervous but determined. "Hi," Anna said softly. "Hi," Sarah replied, tears already forming in her eyes. "Come in. You're home." Anna stepped inside carefully, like someone walking into a dream. The hallway was quiet. She looked around at the family photos on the walls, photos of a father she never got to know. Her heart ached. Michael walked over and gave her a small, warm smile. "Welcome, Anna." Anna smiled back. "Thank you." They led her to the living room. Some of the older family members sat there in silence. Their faces were unreadable. Anna paused for a moment, unsure if she should speak or wait. One of the cousins cleared her throat. "So, you're Robert's daughter?" Anna nodded. "Yes, that's what the lawyer said, and it's what I've always wanted to know for sure." The cousin folded her arms. "Did you come here for money?" "No," Anna said quickly. "I don't want anything. I just wanted to know where I came from, who I really am." Sarah stepped in. She didn't even know she was in the will. She just wanted answers, that's all. The room stayed tense. But slowly, something changed. Anna pulled out an old photograph from her purse. It was worn and faded. She held it up. "This is the only picture I ever had of my father," she said. "My mom gave it to me before she passed. I used to sleep with it under my pillow." Everyone leaned closer to see the photo. It was Robert, much younger, standing next to a woman holding a baby, Anna. The moment captured on that photo felt real, raw, and full of emotion. Suddenly, the silence broke. Sarah's mother stood up and walked over. She took a long look at Anna, her eyes full of pain and regret. "I didn't know about you," she said slowly. "If I had, maybe things would have been different." "I'm sorry," Anna's voice cracked. "I don't blame you. I just wanted to know my family, even just once." Then something unexpected happened. The oldest uncle, who had been very cold until now, stood up and walked over. He looked at Anna, then at the photo. "I remember that day," he said. "Your mother was quiet, but kind. Robert, he was scared. He didn't know how to tell the family. But I think he always loved you." Anna wiped her tears. "That's all I needed to hear." Sarah stepped forward and gently took Anna's hand. "You don't have to live with questions anymore. You're not alone now." Michael smiled. "You have a brother and a sister, a family, and this house is your home too." Suddenly, the energy in the room changed. A few cousins nodded. An aunt offered Anna a cup of tea. The walls that once stood tall between them slowly began to fall. Anna looked around and whispered, "I've never felt this before. I think I finally belong." As laughter slowly returned to the house, Sarah looked toward the photo of their father on the wall. A week had passed since Anna visited the family home. Things were still not perfect. Some family members were quiet, some still unsure. But something had changed. The silence that once surrounded Emily's secret had finally been broken. And in its place, something new had begun: understanding, healing, and the slow start of a deeper bond. One afternoon, Sarah got a phone call from the lawyer, Mr. Allen. "Sarah," he said, "there's something I forgot to give you." "What is it?" she asked. "It's a letter. Your father wrote it long, before his death. He left instructions to give it to you, but only after you had met Anna." Sarah's heart skipped a beat. The next morning, she and Michael returned to the lawyer's office. Mr. Allen handed them a sealed envelope. On the front, in their father's handwriting, were the words, "To my children, all of you." Michael held the letter with both hands. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then Sarah nodded. "Let's read it together." They sat in the same room where the will had first been read. The air felt heavy with memories. Michael opened the letter. Carefully, Sarah read the words aloud. "My dear children, if you are reading this, then the truth is already known. I had another child, Anna, and I know this secret has hurt you. I never meant to bring pain into your lives, but I was a weak man once, and I made a choice that I've carried in silence for many years. I met Emily when I was young, before I met your mother. We were never meant to stay together, but something beautiful came from it. Anna. I didn't raise her. I wasn't there for her. And that is a regret I will carry until my last breath. But please understand this. Anna is your sister. She is not the past. She is part of your future. I raised Sarah and Michael with love, and I loved Anna from afar, in quiet ways she never saw. I watched her grow up from a distance, sent money when I could, and kept every photo I had of her. If you choose to accept her, if you choose love over anger, then maybe this broken family can finally be whole. Forgive me, not for the mistake I made, but for the years I lost. You are my children, all of you, and I love you more than words can say. Dad. By the end of the letter, Sarah was crying. Michael sat in silence, holding the edge of the letter tightly. He was scared, Michael said quietly, but he wanted to fix it, even if it was too late. Sarah nodded. Maybe it's not too late. They drove to Anna's house that evening. She was surprised to see them, but welcomed them in with a smile. Sarah held out the letter. It's from Dad. He wrote it for all of us. Anna took it, her hands trembling. As she read it, tears fell from her eyes. When she looked up, she said just 3 words. I forgive him. The 3 of them sat there holding hands, saying nothing for a long time. Sometimes words aren't needed when hearts understand. Later, they returned to their father's grave together for the first time. Sarah placed the letter beside the headstone. Anna laid a small flower there, a simple, soft, purple bloom. Michael looked up at the sky. You brought us together, Dad. In the end, you did. As they walked away side by side, a new chapter began, one not built on secrets or silence, but on truth, forgiveness, and family.